Welcome to the program today. Maldo Gonzalez here in studio with Billy Crone, and we're going to have a great time talking about one of our, I don't know if we call him favorite people, but Klaus Schwab. There's a lot to talk about him. And so for those watching, we did this at the podcast, which is helpful, but you have a series now, okay? So kind of maybe introduce the audience to, maybe they haven't seen it, the series, and then we'll get into specifically about the mark of the beast.
Yeah, basically we started with the shot across the bow with once everybody began to smell a rat, we began to investigate, where's this coming from? Who's behind all this? And it just kept getting bigger and bigger. But one figure that kept popping up that was like the spider in the midst of a giant web controlling everything was this guy, Klaus Schwab. Then we moved on to, okay, let's get a little specific with this guy, Klaus Schwab, right? And so this is the follow-up with that. And it's Klaus Schwab, okay, the World Economic Forum and the coming mark of the beast. And basically, last time we exposed his background with Hitler and the ties, and basically in a nutshell, his agenda, he can call it whatever he wants. It's basically the rise of the Fourth Reich.
His ideology. I mean,
what he wants to bring to the planet is basically carbon copy what Hitler tried to do, but only made it as far as Germany. And now Klaus wants to bring the whole thing to the planet. Now, he doesn't call it the Fourth Reich, obviously, because people would freak out, right? He just calls it the Fourth Industrial Revolution. But it's the same thing, or the Great Reset, or Agenda 2030. They have all kinds of labels. Agenda 2030 is called that because the agenda is to have all this in place, basically the rise of the Fourth Reich, in place by 2030. Now, the point is for you and I as the Christian, okay, well, that's what he's wanting to do. It sounds crazy. I use a word, I don't even know if this is a word, it's Hitlerian, and it's very dangerous. He's a megalomaniac. These guys are transhumanists. They not only want to reset the economy, they want to reset humanity into their own image genetically. It sounds crazy, which by the way is what Hitler was into, eugenics and things of that nature. Again, you wonder where he gets all his ideas from. That's where it's from. But the point for you and I is, I'm convinced after these documentaries and taking such a deep dive that I never planned on going down, but because of current events, I need to find out answers for myself and for the congregation that I pastor and others. I'm convinced that what he's building, whether he knows it or not, admits it or not, will acknowledge it or not, he's building what the Bible warned about 2,000 years ago. It's called the Antichrist kingdom, which Revelation 13 talks about is going to be a one world government, a one world religion, a big brother system, micromanaging the planet, down to the individual, a one world economy that's cashless, tied in with people's body parts biometrically, specifically the right hand and the forehead. Everything I just described in Revelation 13 of the Antichrist kingdom, it's exactly what he's bringing to the planet. In his own words, on tape, it's not a conspiracy theory. So my point is, the Bible is the only book on the planet that tells us exactly what not only he's up to, but where it's headed and where it's ultimately going to culminate. And that, of course, I'm convinced, is the Antichrist kingdom in the 7-year tribulation. So the action point to you and I as a Christian, why do I need to know about this? Well, to me, if we're seeing, in fact, the foundation being laid for the Antichrist kingdom in the 7-year tribulation, and we leave prior at the rapture as Christians, then I don't know the day nor the hour, but it's what? It's another sign from God. It's got to be getting close. So as a Christian, it's not a time to be fearful. It's a time to be faithful. Get the gospel out. Or if you're not a Christian, what in the world are you waiting for? This is not a joke. This is what these guys on tape are doing. The Bible tells you it's the worst time in the history of mankind. So horrible, Matthew 24, Jesus, so horrible that if God didn't shorten the time frame, the entire human race would be destroyed. Take this serious, right? And take the way out. That's the good news. Believe it or not, as horrible as what these guys are bringing to the planet on tape, the good news is there's a way of escape, and his name is Jesus Christ. And if you're not saved, you better get saved now. I don't know what you're waiting for.
Absolutely. You know, if you have been, maybe you're just on the fence, or you've heard you have relatives or you have other friends that are been talking about the Bible prophecy being fulfilled. I mean, I tend to think if you're not taking this serious now, what are you waiting for? I mean, that's kind of what it comes down to. Is and here in this particular, I've had the opportunity to watch these videos, and what I really appreciated is, hey, here's what the scripture says, here's what the guy says, you know, and so it's so great to see, not only, we can talk about that later, but not only Klaus Schwab himself, but his gang. You use that phrase a lot, his gang, and it really is true. Let's talk a little bit, a couple things here. The first really chapter or lecture or presentation, talk about the New World Order. We talk about the New World Order. It's going back to Bush Sr. I mean, we're beyond conspiracy labeling now, aren't we? Shouldn't we be?
Oh, you would think, unless somebody's got their head in the sand or they don't have eyes to see or ears to hear, to use the biblical phraseology. But this, and that's why the power of the videos.
Yeah.
The book, of course, we transcribe the videos. But this is not a conspiracy
Lots of pictures
theory.
in here. I mean, the sense of pictures of what you're showing.
Exactly. And again, even the videos we transcribe. So these are their actual words. But when you see these guys, what's coming out of their own mouth, again, evil loves to brag. They are bragging what they're bringing to the planet. And it is not a conspiracy. And dare I say, it's in our own country. Hello, unfortunately. But these guys, they're bringing in what they used to kind of secretly do, but now it's all out in the open. And the reason why it's out in the open is, per the words of Klaus, is COVID was the trigger. COVID was the global crisis to be used as an excuse to say, see, we can't have this happen again. We need to reset the planet.
Yeah, this is our opportunity.
And he says it on tape.
It was
not only planned, it was the opportunity that I call it the trigger to put their plan in place, right? And they have a target date. It's called 2030. Whether they make it or not, only God knows, because he's the one that's really in charge. That's the good news. Psalm chapter 2. But whether they make it or not, that's what they're working towards. Well, we're 3 years into that, right? So they got 7 years to go to get this baby in place. And their modus operandus is you create a crisis, you manage the outcome. And you keep the crisis coming to keep people in a constant state of fear, because they know that people are more apt to surrender their freedoms in a time of fear than in a time of peace. So you can't have a peaceful moment. You can't go back to what used to be normal. Yep. This is your new normal. The new normal is we're all freaked out. It's another crisis. Every week it's this, and the latest one is the banking crisis, and this and that, and all the. And it's because they're doing that on purpose to be used as a tool to crash the system on purpose, to reset it with this new one that they've got planned. And it's not a conspiracy theory. Again, they made it on tape. It's all over the place. And back to the World Economic Forum, people don't get this. The World Economic Forum, you mentioned, I used the word gang, his gang of global elites, whatever. Well, the World Economic Forum is not just a place where they meet. The World Economic Forum, for the last 50 years, has been a training ground to train these people to do Klaus's bidding. I call them the modern day SS agents. And they're all over the world, including our country, both sides of the aisle. They've sold their souls to Klaus Schwab, the devil, whatever you want to call it. They've sold our country out. By the way, the old-fashioned term used to be a traitor. Yeah. A Benedict Arnold. So the World Economic Forum, people need to realize it's not just a global economic think tank, which they admit they're steering the world, which is
that's their mission. It's their mission.
Yeah, but it's a training ground, and for 50 years he's now planted his. I hate using this word because it's my last name, cronies, around the world. And that's why we're in the mess we're in. Biden's working for this guy. The Democrats, Republicans, both sides, they're working for this guy. They sold their soul to Klaus, the devil, however you want to call it.
Yep. As I hope that your head hasn't been in the sand in the past couple of years to see the way that all this has been really brought together. What I found interesting was looking at these montages of the same language, identical language used by all these different players, not just in our country, but around the world. Prime ministers, Canada, France, England, Germany. I mean, to watch them all say the exact same words, and you wonder, well, that's kind of weird, but we know it's not weird. Well, we're going to take a little break here where you can see how to get our magazine, because our magazine is a place where you can find up-to-date current events. Billy's written for our magazine, and we have opportunities to see how you can stay informed.
Everything that we're doing at Prophecy Watchers is vital because Bible prophecy is coming to pass right before our eyes. And it has never been more important for believers to understand what the Bible says about the days that we are living in. In case you haven't noticed, the whole world is spinning out of control. But we are not surprised because many of the things taking place were prophesied in the Bible thousands of years ago. That's why we want to offer you a very special subscription to our magazine, The Prophecy Watcher, that will keep you on the cutting edge of Bible prophecy. Stay informed on prophetic world events. Follow the nuclear threats from Russia and Iran, China's march to world domination, the likelihood of another global pandemic, the rise of artificial intelligence and transhumanism, war in the Middle East, the UFO phenomenon, and the latest technology preparing the world for the mark of the beast. The Prophecy Watcher magazine features articles from leading prophecy experts like Gary Stearman, Mondo Gonzalez, Thomas Ice, Randall Price, L.A. Marzulli, Bill Salas, and many others. With your gift of $50 or more to support the worldwide outreach of Prophecy Watchers, you will receive 12 issues of the magazine in either print or digital format. You will also receive 10 bonus DVDs that feature in-depth teaching on the ancient book of Enoch, Heaven and the New Jerusalem, the biblical case for the rapture, a look at how God put the gospel in the stars, what really happened at the Tower of Babel, and Ezekiel's prophecy on the Battle of Gog and Magog. This special offer is available anywhere in the United States with free shipping included. Don't wait. Pick up the phone right now and call the toll-free number on your screen or visit us at prophecywatchers.tv. Stand with us today and help us take the message of Christ's soon return to the whole world.
Well, welcome back. And before the break, Billy, I want to we were talking about your new book and the DVDs. There's a lot here, and what I found awesome was here you were going about an hour long on each one of these and just saying, hey guys, here's all the evidence, all the newspaper clippings, the materials around, videos. You have videos in there of people saying what they are. So let's jump in on a couple things. One of the things I want to talk about right at the beginning, is fear. Mm-hmm. Whether it's fear of health, whether it's fear of these banks, we've talked about that before, how they are using crisis, which people get out of their normal places, and they freak out, and they want normal, and they say, we'll give you normal, but this is what you got to give up, right?
Right, exactly. And again, that's their tactic. Again, it's twofold. One, create a crisis, you can manage the outcome. If you do the research that came from communism, that was a communist tactic. But it's also, the crisis has got to be of such standard that it creates fear. Why? Because they know us. People are more apt to surrender even their basic freedoms in a time of fear than a time of peace. So you can't have a peaceful moment. You have to keep this fear going over and over again. And the whole thing is just like you're using this to corral people in a pre-planned direction, whether they realize it or not, through fear. And really, I just call it's because this is actually how they treat us, like human cattle. But they're putting us into a corral headed for the slaughter, right? And we think that, we're making our own individual decision. No, you're being manipulated by fear to go down the route, the pre-planned route that they want.
Yeah.
And that, in a nutshell, is really their modus of operandi, right? Because you don't just come in, hey, we're going to take over America. Most people would freak out.
Yeah.
So they can't do that. It's subterfuge, right? It's psychological warfare, right? There's military terms, this.
Yeah.
And that's really it in a nutshell. And the key, and that's why we entitle it The Mark of the Beast. The infrastructure, the desire for a one world government, a one world economy, one world religion, that's the Antichrist kingdom, Revelation 13, right? But the Mark of the Beast is because when you look at his financial system that he wants to bring, it's called the Great Reset. He wants to reset the world's economy, right? And there's two sides to that, which is, the second one's a whole nother topic. But he wants to reset not only the economy, you flip it over, it's a human reset. Mm-hmm. This guy's, again, straight out of a playbook from Hitler. He's a transhumanist, he's into eugenics, and as the elites, like Hitler, they believe it's their job to genetically modify us and all of life basically into their image, what they as the elites know better for us. And that's a whole nother crazy topic, just Hitler 2.0 basically. But the economic reset that they want to bring is digitizing the economy. And I've been trying to get this out as much as I can, because when you digitize the economy, it's game over. It's prison planet. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to warn people, that it's techno-communism. They're going to know it's a big brother on steroids. It's going to be tied into your body. They're going to know everything you do, everywhere you go, just like what's happening right now in China. This is why Klaus on tape loves China.
He does.
He says China is, quote, the next world global leader, because that's what they're promoting, communism. And they even admit on there, and again, I don't know why this is not a national security issue, but their plank in the Great Reset is not just you'll own nothing and be happy. It's America, and this is a direct quote, America will no longer be a world superpower. So they admit that they're working on destroying our country. And why isn't our government speaking up against this? Both sides of the aisle, by the way, not just Democrats and liberals and leftists, But it's because you do the trail, they've all been trained from the World Economic Forum. He's planted his cronies, his SS agents for 50 years. So that's why nothing ever changes in that aspect. And so, but what they want to bring is this techno-communism tied in with the economy, and the foundation's laid there. They're just waiting for the next crisis, even in America, to bring it to the planet.
Seriously, again, what we know this, game over. Well, you said it right. Exactly when that happens, they're going to try to persuade us. Let's talk about these banks really quick. Banks failed. How have they been using the fear-mongering of the banks in order to try to condition people? You have a whole thing on conditioning, which I thought was good.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Well, the latest thing with the banking crisis, my theory is this. Again, it's a crisis. You've got to have crisis to be the excuse to reset economically the planet. And by the way, even in America, why America? Because we're the backbone of the current economic system around the world, the dollar system. So if you're going to reset the global system economically and take it over, then you got to destroy the first one. That's what they're doing. That's why Biden's making every deliberate decision, not just dumb, deliberate, to destroy the American economy from day one. And he still continues to do it because he's working for Klaus and the gang to destroy the backbone of the global system, us, the American dollar. But the banking system is the latest thing, and the crisis, again, another crisis, and even here in America. But there's a couple things that are going on. It's doing two things. Whether this continues, we'll see, to be a domino effect, and even more banks go and more, and it's just going to create, and then become the ultimate excuse. See, we got to take over the economy because all these bank failures, and
because people are running on the banks, taking cash, like physical cash out. We got to stop that. We got to prevent that for everybody's
good.
And
the whole thing was pre-planned, just like the other one.
It was all pre-planned.
And it gets to corral you like human cattle where they want you to go. They're using fear as the factor. And or it could be something like this, and I'm not saying thus saith the Lord, but my guess too. But based on the interview recently with Janet Yellen, she left a big question mark on these bank failures. These smaller banks, the big ones are fine, right? The big corporations who are going to go along with Klaus.
Yeah, they already are. JP Morgan, you name it.
Yeah, exactly. And so the smaller banks, the independent banks, she literally, instead of saying, yeah, they're all FDIC and your money's guaranteed. That's what the FDIC is supposed to do, ensure that.
No worries, don't worry,
That's
everybody.
not what she said. She left a big question mark, and people are freaking out. And so what is causing them to do, out of fear, they're jumping ship from the smaller independent banks, local banks, to the big guys, because that's the only one that appears to be guaranteed you won't lose your money. So I think that's done deliberately. You think her job would be to pacify the fear. It actually created more fear. But it's forcing people to jump ship from the independent banks who may not be going along with the digital currency plan and go into the other ones. And so it might be, again, getting rid of competition, the smaller ones who aren't a part of the program. So that could be that as well. But I want to talk a little bit, Mondo, on people who don't realize the danger. Say the game over. Here's why it's game over. I call it the prison planet. If we're still alive and still here and the rapture hasn't happened and they go this far, we're in a heap of trouble. And this is not a joke, because you say, oh, cash society, I don't use cash anyway. So what's the big deal? Why are you being such a big alarmist that they're going to bring in what here for America? They're already doing this in other countries, including China. It's cashless. But over here, what they want to call, they're already starting to call what's coming. It's either Biden bucks or the digital dollar. So it's still in print. You can check it out. It's not a conspiracy theory. That's what they want to do. And so that's our version. Instead of the digital yuan for China, we get the digital dollar.
So this is the digital system that's going to come in kind of in a way that's innocuous at first. Well, people get used to it. And then comes what?
Used to it typically, again, out of a crisis, that'll become the excuse to flip it, i.e. to use their term, reset it. And basically, you think, well, who cares if it's digital? I hardly use cash anyway. No, let me explain to you what a digital currency. Right now, we have an option with cash.
We do.
The benefit of cash is you're anonymous, right? I can go buy something anonymous, right? They don't know who it is. They'll have a transaction that something was bought, but it's cash, right? But when everything's digital, they will know. And see, it's CBDC, central bank digital currency. There'll be banks, but in the middle, the government's going to be controlling and accessing in real time all these banks.
And they'll threaten. The Fed already threatened smaller banks.
Right, exactly. And I think they're what they're doing now. They're getting rid of the smaller banks, and then this will allow them to do certain things, like it will control your behavior. Like for right now, you say, "Well, I'm not going to support this. I'm going to go out there and protest." No, you won't, because once you accept and roll over and allow them to digitize the monetary system, then you will be punished digitally.
Yep.
Meaning like you go out there and they know where you're at, they know what you're doing, right? And so all of a sudden you get an alert on your phone, hey, you just lost 50% of your digital money in your account because you did something we didn't like. Because it's all electronic. You can't stop them.
Yep.
They will take money out. They will also take it away. So it's not just knowing what you do. They will force compliance.
Yep.
You will not have individual freedom anymore because you'll be punished economically.
Okay, so we're going to take, that's a good note here because we're going to take a little break because before we do, I'll just remind everybody this happened recently with PayPal where they were going to fine people who were involved with certain things that they felt were not woke enough. And all of a sudden you have the people going, they're going to fine me and take my money. And then they got caught and they backed away. But there were a lot of people that bailed off of PayPal because they didn't want to risk it. So this isn't make-believe. This has already been tried to, again, PayPal tried to implement something like that. But we're going to take a little break here where you can see how you can get, again, all of this information, which shows us, again, that the Word of God is true, that Jesus is coming soon, and we need to be ready and equipped.
Once again, Pastor Billy Crone has our full attention as he shares his amazing research into the plans of the globalists and the World Economic Forum, led by Klaus Schwab. For over 50 years, they have been training these future globalists for the Global Reset and Agenda 2030. Of course, he is only one of many men and women helping Lucifer accomplish his ultimate goal. One man ruling the world with a desire to be worshipped as God. The Bible calls him the Antichrist. His system of worldwide control revolves around the mark of the beast, which is connected to modern technology and active worship. Brain chips, invisible tattoos, tracking devices, even the ability to read your thoughts. We've entered a whole new world of possibilities. You won't want to miss the 2 books or the 2 DVDs on Klaus Schwab and the Fourth Reich and Klaus Schwab and the Mark of the Beast. It appears he's following in Adolf Hitler's footsteps. While both of Billy's books and DVDs are available individually in our bookstore at prophecywatchers.tv, we've packaged them together with some extra bonuses to thank you for keeping up with the signs of the times and supporting Prophecy Watchers. The Klaus Schwab book collection includes Billy's research on the rise of Hitler and the Third Reich and points us to the soon arrival of the Fourth Reich. Billy's new book, Klaus Schwab and the Mark of the Beast, contains over 500 pages of cutting-edge research on this explosive subject. Both books are available from our ministry for your gift of $65 or more, with 2 free bonuses: a copy of Gary Stearman's DVD, The Last Trump, and Billy Crone's shocking rescue from Satan's clutches, the day he put a shotgun to his chest and pulled the trigger. It's a miraculous testimony of God's supernatural deliverance. Shipping, of course, is included, as always, anywhere in the USA. The Klaus Schwab DVD collection includes 10 DVDs that document the rise of Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum, the Fourth Reich, and the Mark of the Beast. These 10 DVDs contain 22 well-documented studies that even had Gary shaking his head in disbelief at the depth of the research. These 10 DVDs are available for your gift of $90 or more, with shipping included in the USA, and we'll include those same free bonuses with this package as well. Billy's research will help you prepare for the things to come and help you keep your loved ones out of the tribulation. Read the books, watch the DVDs, and share them with others. Time is short, and Jesus is coming soon.
All right, welcome back. Hope you get Billy's information. And we were talking about the way that the digital powers that be, that they'll be able to find and to control and to program. But let me step back here for a minute. So, I actually have a cousin named Billy, a good friend. And he's just average guy, watches the program, not an expert on prophecy. He's looking at it and stuff. What do you say to a guy like him? He's just average. He works hard. He's out there. He's single. What do you say to a guy like him? What does this information mean to a person like him?
Well, number one, back to the individual freedom. The only reason why evil triumphs is because good men do nothing. The Bible calls us as Christians to be the salt, the light, and the resistance. 2 Thessalonians 2, the church is the restrainer. Resistance, kateko, means to withhold the course thereof, to be the fly in the ointment, basically, prior to the Antichrist appearing, right? So God tells us we're supposed to engage the culture. And dare I say, even for this reason, if we don't deal with this, this is just going to come that much faster, and it's game over. Again, and so that's why we need to know. We need to deal with this seriously, because you think it's bad now. If they digitize it, it's over. And again, let me add two things real quick. Number one, it not only will know every transaction, and it will not only control your behavior, because you'll be punished just like China, and you'll be punished if you don't do what they say to do, or if you do disobey, you're going to lose your money. Two other things real quick. They also can put a timestamp on the electronic money, which means you're thinking, man, this is a prison plan. I'm going to save my money and get out of here. You won't. You have to spend it by the end of the month, or it disappears. So you can't even save money, or you have to spend it within a allotted amount of time. The other thing, it will control your purchases. You know, because another one of his big mantras is, you know, you'll own nothing to be happy. He says, you'll eat less meat. That's America. I'm going to eat whatever I want. You ain't going to tell me what to eat. When they digitize the economy, you go to the store, you may have digital bucks in your digital bank account now, right? They came digitally from the government. But guess what? It doesn't work, because they know everything. They also know you're buying it, and you've already had your quota for this month. Yeah. Or you're also, maybe you could have bought that piece of meat, but because we saw you over here posting something negative about the government online, we took away your meat allotment for that month. I'm not making this up. This is all that. So we need to know this, because if we get apathetic and we don't do what God says do, engage the culture, it's going to come that much faster. Ultimately, though, why do we need to know? If you're a Christian, man, we don't know the day nor an hour, but I'm convinced this is the rise of the Antichrist kingdom. And we're not going to be there. We're going to leave prior, but we just need to finish strong. And if you're not serious about sharing the gospel, shame on you. How much more motivation does God got to give you? We have the way out of this mess. Yeah. And his name is Jesus Christ. So we need to know as Christians, because it's time to stop goofing off, living for this wicked world system, and get back to what's always been the same plan, the only plan, plan A. Live a tight walk with Jesus Christ. You're going to need his wisdom like never before. Number two, live a life that's honoring and glorifying to him. And number three, get the gospel out. Come on. Be compassionate. You wouldn't want your worst enemy to be in this time frame.
Yeah, no way.
Right? And so we just need to get back to as Christians. But all this information motivates me to get excited. I'm not on the losing team. I'm on the winning team. Jesus Christ is going to come back. He's going to smash this Antichrist kingdom. We get to be with him, and then we get to rule and reign with him on true utopia called the millennial kingdom, and then the new heavens and the new earth. We win, and we need to get our mindset around that frame, because last time I checked, a Christian walking around in fear, grumping, moaning, that's not a good advertisement to the lost, right? And so we just need to get back to that biblical mindset. The days that we live in, it's concerning, but at the same time, really, if you're saved, it's exciting.
It is exciting.
Our return is getting close, and we just need to finish strong.
Billy, appreciate your time, and we are out of time here. And as always, as Billy said, this is the time to get serious. If you're not, if you're watching, this is time to share it with family, friends, loved ones. The scripture's true. We're watching it unfold. It's amazing to watch it unfold. And as always, we will be watching, and hopefully you will too. We'll see you next time.